Hey, Bible nerds, this is Dr. Manny Arango. Welcome to the Bible Department podcast, powered by Arma. We are walking through the entire Bible in a year. You can go to the description or thebibledepartment.com to download a reading plan and join the journey. Family, welcome to day 160. We are making our trek through the book of 2 Samuel. Today, we're looking at 2 Samuel chapters 11, 12, and 13. And honestly, these are like the Game of Thrones chapters right here. Like, this is just absolute. Like, if you're looking for like the most dramatic stuff that's ever happened in the Bible, I mean, these three chapters are full of that, okay? David is going to rape a woman by the name of Bathsheba. That woman's going to get pregnant. David's going to cover it up by trying to get her husband to have sex with her. He's not going to have sex with her, which is going to mean that he's going to die. David's going to send him off to die in a battle. God is then going to send the prophet Nathan to rebuke David for this wicked thing that he's done. And because David has done this, there's going to be a consequence, okay? There's grace, but there's also consequences. Grace does not mean that there's no consequences. Grace means that you still get to be king and God didn't kill you. But there's going to be consequences. And one of the consequences is going to be division and a crumbling of David's own household. Because David has ruined the family and the household of someone else, now David's own family is going to be ruined from the inside out. And David's son, Amnon, is going to rape his sister, Tamar. Amnon is going to rape his sister, Tamar. And their brother, Absalom, is going to be so upset that their father doesn't do anything about it, that he's going to kill his brother, Amnon. So that is the trajectory of what's going to happen in chapters 11, 12, and 13. So chapter 11, you're looking at the rape of Bathsheba and the murder of Uriah. In chapter 12, you are looking at Nathan rebuking David and the baby that Bathsheba is pregnant with dying. And then chapter 13, you're going to see the immediate effects of the crumbling of David's household. And his son Amnon is going to violently rape his own sister Tamar, who he's in love with. But then his brother Absalom is going to trick him into attending a party and is going to violently kill him. Okay, so this is boom, boom, boom. Okay, so context. The context for 2 Samuel chapter 11 is 2 Samuel chapter 10. Okay, we already have the context. Yesterday set up the context. For today, I've got a lot of nerdy nuggets for you. At minimum, I've got 8, and we're just going to start moving through. Okay, we're in chapter 11. I've got a lot of nerdy nuggets for you. Chapter 11 may be where we hang out the most. We may not get a ton into chapter 12 and 13, okay? I need you to see, there's a particular word that I want you to see. In my Bible, I put repeated words as blue, so I'm just reading the blue words, the colored pencils highlighted blue. I'm just like reading the words that are blue here. I want you to see if you can track a theme. First, verse 1 of chapter 11, David sent Joab. So instead of going to fight the Ammonites, David sends Joab. Okay. Next, verse 3, and David sent someone to go find out about the woman who was on the roof bathing. Okay. Verse 4, then David sent messengers to get her. And then verse 5, the woman conceived and sent word to David. Verse 6, so David sent this word to Joab. Here's the word, send me Uriah. And Joab sent Uriah to David. Okay. And then verse 8, a gift from the king was sent after him. Verse 12, stay here one more day and tomorrow I will send you back. And then I want you to read verse 14. In the morning, David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it with Uriah. Verse 18, Joab sent David a full account of the battle. Joab had sent him to say, this verse 22. You get the word sent again, okay? So the big picture that's getting painted here of David is not based on the symptoms of his sin, but the root of his sin. The symptom is raping a woman and raping a married woman and murdering her husband. That's a symptom. What's the root? The root is you are sending this person and sending that person and sending Joab and sending messengers and sending for Bathsheba. You are power hungry. You are no longer a servant leader. You are now the kind of leader who lords leadership over people. I'm sending for them, and I'm sending for him, and I'm sending for them. David has become someone who has become arrogant because of power. This is no longer the humble shepherd who was just so thankful to God that he would rescue him and appoint him as a leader. This is the seasoned, arrogant, successful David. The man who just sits on us. Instead of going out to the battlefield, I'll just send soldiers. I want that woman. I'm just going to go send some messengers. And here we go. Chapter 12. I love this. Actually, we read the last verse of chapter 11. It says, but the thing David had done displeased the Lord. So we know at the end of chapter 11, God is not happy about this. The thing David had done displeased the Lord. Here we go. Chapter 12. The Lord sent Nathan to David. Finally, God steps in and goes, I'm going to do the sending. Oh, David, you want to send that one there and send another person here and send Uriah there and send Joab there and send for Bathsheba? I'm going to do some sending. And I'm going to send the prophet Nathan to your house to convict you of your sin. This is no coincidence, okay? All the way through chapter 11, the number one repeated word is sent. And now we get to chapter 12, and God says, I've got some sending to do of my own. Hey, David, you're not all powerful. You're not omnipotent. I can send a prophet to you to expose your sin and to bring you back into repentance, to call you to repentance, okay? So that's the first nerdy nugget I need you to see. It's easy to be distracted by the symptom of sin, by the action, by the behavior. Very, very rarely do we pay enough attention to the underlying stuff that inevitably would lead to sinful behavior. Okay, so let's now go through some nerdy nuggets. We'll really dive into chapter 11. Next nerdy nugget. Baths in the ancient world are not fully nude, okay? There's no running water. And if you wanted water that was warm, then you put it up on the roof of your dwelling place so that the sun could hit it. Actually, I did this when I was living in Uganda. If I wanted, most days I bathed from a bucket. If I wanted hot water, I would have to leave the water out in the direct sunlight all day long, okay? And so this is not like a crazy idea. It's probably unlikely that Bathsheba is doing anything to get attention. Also, okay, in the ancient world, everyone who lived above you, because Jerusalem is shaped by 3 valleys, so everyone who lives higher than you in elevation is wealthier than you and has more power and status than you. So she lives pretty high because her husband's name is Uriah. He's a bodyguard to David. I mean, he lives up pretty high. Anyone above her would be the king. And what does the Bible say? The kings should be at war with all the other men. Any man who would be looking at a woman bathing would be out at war. Bathsheba's doing nothing to garner this attention. Absolutely nothing. Okay, next. When David asks about her, there's 2 words that are used. Okay, she is Bathsheba. This is verse 3 of chapter 11. She is Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah. Okay, the daughter and the wife. The people talking to David are trying to humanize Bathsheba because David is bent on objectifying her. It's funny, I actually watched this random interview by a woman who got captured by Somali pirates, and she was like held captive for like 80, 100 days or something like that. And she just kept telling them stories of her children, stories of her family. She was humanizing herself to them. And because of it, they kept her alive. They no longer saw her as a way to get money. They saw her as a human. And this is exactly what's happening. Hey, yeah, that's Bathsheba. She's a daughter. She's a wife. How would you feel if this is your daughter, your wife? This does not work. The Bible is going to hammer home over and over and over again that Uriah is a what? A Hittite. Now, Hittites were people that were designated for full annihilation. You got to kill all the Hittites. But clearly, Uriah, like Rahab, the Canaanite, has converted to Judaism, has converted to wanting to follow Yahweh. And here's what we are going to see. That once David finds out that she was pregnant, he's going to call Uriah from the battlefield, and he's going to try to get Uriah to go have sex with his wife. And here's what Uriah is going to say. But Uriah slept at the entrance to the palace with all the master's servants and did not go down to his house. David was told Uriah did not go home. So he asked Uriah, haven't you just come from a military campaign? Why didn't you go home? Uriah said to David, the ark and Israel and Judah are staying in tents, and my commander Joab and my Lord's men are camped in the open country. How could I go to my house to eat and drink and make love to my wife? As surely as you live, I will not do such a thing. Okay, so now David is desperate, so David gets him drunk and sends him, and now is like trying to send him back. And when evening came, Uriah went out to sleep on his mat amongst his master's servants. He did not go home. And here's a theme that's going to develop, that foreigners have more character and morality than the people of God. Okay, so here's a Hittite who drunk has more self-control than David does sober. Okay, this man's drunk and he won't go to his own house to have sex with a woman that he actually has the right to have sex with. Meanwhile, David is sober and is having sex with somebody she has no business having sex with. Okay? This is Uriah's uprightness, Uriah's morality and character and principled-based living is putting David to shame. Next, judgment is not the same as consequences. Yahweh can forgive, but there's still going to be consequences. I need you to see this. Not only is Uriah being juxtaposed to David, but Bathsheba is also being juxtaposed to David. Why is she bathing? Well, the text actually tells us exactly why she's bathing. Verse 4 of chapter 11. Now she was purifying herself from her monthly uncleanness, which means homegirl was on her period. Okay? So she was on her period. For most women are on their periods for 4 to 5 days. She's on her period for 4 to 5 days. And then she's got a period of cleansing that she has to go through, okay, after her period. And so she's bathing because she's obeying the Torah. If there's one big, like there's all these people who say, no, Bathsheba's up there. She knows what she's doing. And this stuff boils my blood, okay? Because everything about the text tells us that what David did displeased God, that David is the one in sin, that David used his power to sexually assault this woman. There's nothing romantic going on here. It's not like David and Bathsheba have this like ongoing like menage a trois, like they've got some romance. There's zero romance here. If she says no, she's dead. And none of us in an American or Western context really understand what it's like to live in a monarchy with a king who has absolute power. Okay? There's no situation where Bathsheba has the power to say no, or anyone around David has the power to say no. And that's the actual issue. That's why the Bible is highlighting the fact that David sends for this one, sends for that one, sends for that one. Okay. So get this. A woman is most fertile 10 to 14 days after her period. And the Bible's telling us that guess when David has sex with Bathsheba? That's right. 10 to 14 days after her period. And so the woman conceived and sent word to David saying, I am pregnant. Now, I almost want to get into a timeless truth right here because some of us are so ignorant as to why there's an intensity to temptation at certain points. The enemy will leave you alone in certain seasons and then tempt you like crazy in other seasons because he knows that the consequences for failure in this season is different than consequences of failure in this season. Now, either way, having sex with a woman who's married is wrong. But there was only a 4-day window where pregnancy was almost guaranteed. And of course, the enemy is going to tempt David the strongest when there's the highest probability that this is going to result in pregnancy, okay? So there's a lot of times where you need to get wise and start going, why is the devil tempting me so hard right now? Well, maybe there's something happening that you don't have the natural awareness to know about, but you may want to be careful because the enemy will lay a trap for you. He will lay a trap to ensnare you. The Bible describes Satan as a predator, as a master hunter, someone who stalks their prey and knows exactly how to create a scenario to entrap you. Anytime you see of a moral failure of someone, you should never let arrogance grip you to the point where you start going, that can never be me. It could absolutely be you. Maybe you've just not dealt with the stalking power of Satan, where he ensnares people. Okay. Last thing. And then we gotta wrap up. Family, the wait is over. My brand new book, Crushing Chaos, is out now and available everywhere books are sold. Literally today, I walked into a Barnes & Noble and I signed a bunch of copies at a physical location. So you can grab this book at a physical Barnes & Noble, or you can go to a Books A Million or Amazon or anywhere books are sold and grab a copy. If you enjoy reading the Bible from an ancient perspective, if you understand that the beauty of Scripture is actually knowing it in context, then you'll love this book. And if there's any chaos in your personal life, I think that reading the Bible from an ancient perspective can actually help to crush the chaos in your life. I think this book is going to be a New York Times bestseller. I really do. I think we wrote a good one. I think you should get a copy today. All right, back to the episode. Now, David sends Uriah back out to the battlefield with a letter that's his own death sentence. This is a foreshadow of Jesus carrying his own cross, okay? This is also a foreshadow of Onesimus carrying a letter to Philemon that could lead him back into slavery, okay? This motif is actually going to be returned to again and again and again in the scriptures. So Uriah is carrying a letter that's giving Joab instructions to kill him. And David's plan doesn't even make any sense. He's like, yeah, put him where the fighting's the thickest and then draw back. This plan doesn't even make sense. So Joab creates a better plan. The better plan is to attack a city wall. Well, attacking a city wall is a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea because if you read history accounts of most ancient cities, if a city's being attacked, the person on the wall has the advantage. And in lots of these accounts, they'll take their feces and they'll boil it and they'll pour it down so that it hits the soldiers. They'll throw rocks down. I mean, the person that's of lower elevation is going to be victim to anything happening, the defense of the city wall. So it's stupid to attack a city wall, but it's better than David's dumb plan. So Joab goes, creates another plan and goes through with it. Uriah dies. Now Joab has to send a messenger back to David to let him know, hey, we had to attack the city, and he knows David is going to have something to say about attacking the city. But hey, he says to the servant, just say Uriah the Hittite's dead. And sure enough, the servant goes and he makes sure he leads with that. The servant is dead. And this is the phrase in Hebrew. David says, don't be discouraged, Joab. No one can determine whether the sword will fall on one house or another. It's okay. Be encouraged. Okay. But the statement is so freaking fake because David, it's not as if fate made the sword fall at Uriah's house. You made the sword fall on Uriah's house. So now, get this, when Nathan the prophet comes to David to convict him of his sin, the punishment for the sin is going to be this. the sword will not depart your house, David. So now his son Amnon rapes his sister Tamar, and his other son Absalom is going to kill Amnon because you will reap what you sow. God will not be mocked. Okay? You reap what you sow. This is poetic justice. The fact that David is the one that has brought a sword to this man's house, and now God is saying, I'm going to bring a sword to your house. Because although I've forgiven you, there will be consequences because I'm a God of justice and of mercy. Okay, tons of timeless truths that we can pull out of that. I'll read you the timeless truth that I have written down because I think it's helpful. Amnon rapes his sister Tamar. David rapes Bathsheba. And here's what I wrote down. Neither David or Amnon are fulfilled by their sin. This is the deception of sin. Sin convinces, the fantasy convinces you that sin will bring joy or fulfillment, and it never, ever, ever does. So with that, let's look at 2 Samuel chapter 14 to 17. Tomorrow, we're going to get deeper and deeper and deeper into the story. The story's not going to get better. This is going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And so if you're on a streak, do not break it. If you haven't started a streak, today's a good day to start one. All you got to do is get 2 days in a row and you can get a streak going. I love you. I'm so proud of you. I hope that my breakdown of today's content was helpful. If it was, meet me back here tomorrow because we're going to be looking at 2 Samuel chapter 14 to 17 for day 161 of this Bible reading plan. I love you guys so much. Proud of you. Peace. Thanks so much for joining us on the Bible Department podcast. If this episode was helpful, how about you leave a comment, share with a friend, and subscribe so that you never miss an episode. To learn more about the show, head to thebibledepartment.com. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.